In Columbia County, I've got CFO Jimmy Petronis with us, Kevin Guthrie, our Division of Emergency Management Director, Adjutant General Florida National Guard Major General Haas. We have Columbia County Emergency Management Director Shane Morgan, Sheriff Mark Hunter from Columbia County, and Representative Chuck Brannon. This storm is going to impact inland counties, and particularly in northern Florida. You are going to see significant impacts. You know, the contours of that will obviously be determined by the exact path of the storm, but I think you're doing the right thing to be prepared. So we're talking about counties like Columbia, we're talking about counties like Hamilton, Madison. All those counties are going to be affected by Hurricane Idalia. We are monitoring some of these computer models. You may see the National Hurricane Center update the track in either 2 o'clock or the 5 o'clock advisory. There are models suggesting that this is going to take more of a westward shift that could bring it into areas like Jefferson and Leon and Wakulla area even. And people have known that this is a possibility, and I know all those counties are making preparations, but that is something to look out for. There's still a range of uncertainty here. They're going to be updating this track as the day goes on, and we will have probably better resolution on that as we get to the 2 or the 5 o'clock advisory. But that is a possibility. We've been in contact with all the local officials in all these areas, and I know people have been making preparations. So continue to do that. The state is already starting to feel some effects of this in the southern part of the state. You're going to start to feel some effects of it in the northern part of the state, probably later tonight, the beginning of tomorrow morning. We have expanded our executive order this morning. We now have 49 counties total. We've added Brevard, Orange, and Osceola counties, and so, you know, pretty much that top of the state all the way into central Florida. Maybe excluding some of the farther western panhandle counties, but there's a huge number of counties that are going to feel impacts from this, and we want to make sure they're able to do what they need to do. We're proud of all the staging that's been done, particularly for power restoration. We're now at over 25,000 linemen as of this morning. That is going to be over 30,000, approaching 40,000 by the end of today, and the goal is, when the power, and you are going to lose power if you're in the path of this storm, you should assume that that's going to happen, and the goal is going to be rapid restoration of power. Some of the parts where this storm is projected to go are a lot of trees. There's going to be a lot of branches, a lot of trees. There's going to be a lot of power lines down. Just expect that. There's a lot of manpower that's going to go to address it, but it's definitely going to be something that is going to require a lot of manpower and a lot of attention. So power restoration is something that is very, very important, and we want to thank all the utilities that have marshaled. We've got people coming from southeastern states. We've got people coming from Nebraska coming to Florida to be ready to go to restore power here in the state of Florida, and we think that's important. The local municipalities that have utilities, some of the electric co-ops, all those, please accept the mutual aid. We want to be able to have as much manpower as possible to get that power back on for all of your residents, and we know how important it is for so many Florida residents to be able to get back online. But you should prepare to have some time without power if you're somebody that's in the path of the storm. And by the path, it doesn't mean just in the cone, because there's going to be impacts that are going to be outside whatever the National Hurricane Center says is the path of the storm. There have been evacuation orders issued for people on coastal areas, barrier islands, low-lying areas. You still have time, particularly if in the northern part of the state, you have time to be able to evacuate. You don't need to drive hundreds of miles. You don't need to try to outrun the storm. Just get to higher ground, get into a safe structure, ride out the storm, then you can go back to your place. But in some of these areas, like a Cedar Key, some of these others, along the Big Bend, you're talking about really, really significant storm surge potential. I mean, this is similar 10, 12 plus feet of storm surge could happen in some of those areas. And the storm surge is not something, you're not going to win that battle if you decide to stay behind for that. You run away from the water and then you hide from the wind. And so in Florida, if you get away from where the surge is going to hit, most of the structures that we have, particularly things that have been built in the last 20, 30 years, those are going to be fine for a Category 3 storm. And so you can hunker down there on higher ground where the storm surge isn't going to be a threat. But if you're putting yourself, if you're hunkering down in an area that could get hit by 10, 12 feet of storm surge, that is a life-threatening situation. And we saw that with Hurricane Ian, just how massive the storm surge was. So you are going to see parts of the coast, probably in the Big Bend area, that is going to have really significant storm surge. We actually anticipate the National Hurricane Center to increase their estimates for the storm surge, particularly in the Big Bend, from where it was this morning. So please be advised, you've got time, you've got the ability to do. I know all these counties have opened up shelters. You can go stay with friends, family. I know there's deals on hotels. You still have time to do that if you're in this Big Bend area, but time